The USGA is in chaos after Phil Mickelson reportedly threatened to expose Brian Rolap's financial data if he refuses to resign. 130 years of tradition. The rulebook is their Bible. The U.S. Open is their Super Bowl. And right now, it is burning. Not from a slow play controversy, not from a green reading book ban. This is a full-scale civil war. Phil Mickelson, the six-time major champion who already went to war with the PGA Tour and walked away with a nine-figure check, has just fired a nuclear warhead directly at the USGA's front door. He has given Brian Rolap a choice: resign from your position or watch your private financial data become public property. No negotiations, no off-ramps, just an ultimatum with a ticking clock. And here is what makes this genuinely uncomfortable. Depending on who you ask, Mickelson is either the whistleblower golf desperately needed or a disgruntled billionaire playing with a man's entire reputation. Late Tuesday evening, multiple sources inside the USGA's Liberty Corner headquarters confirmed that Mickelson's legal representation delivered a formal communication. The message was stripped of any diplomatic pleasantries. Brian Rolap has 72 hours to submit his resignation from the USGA's Executive Media Committee. If that resignation does not land on the desk of the USGA's CEO by Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern, Mickelson will release what he describes as irrefutable financial documentation to every major media outlet, golf publication, and federal oversight body that will take a meeting. The language in that communication is aggressive. It uses phrases like material conflicts of interest, undisclosed compensation, and structural deception of the non-profit mandate. Now, this is not a random Twitter rant. Before we examine the evidence behind these explosive claims, we want to hear from you. Do you think Phil Mickelson is exposing the truth, or has this confrontation gone too far? Share your opinion in the comments below. And if you enjoy in-depth golf investigations, be sure to subscribe. This is a coordinated, legally vetted offensive. Mickelson is not guessing. He is not speculating. He is making a specific threat about specific data tied to a specific individual. And the USGA, an organization that prides itself on rules and order, has gone completely silent. No denial, no press release, just the sound of panic echoing through the hallways of golf's oldest governing body. Brian Rolap. He does not swing a club. He does not design courses. Rolap is the chief media and business officer for the National Football League. In the NFL, he is the architect behind the league's $110 billion media rights deals. He is sharp, connected, and operates in the highest tier of American sports finance. So why is he inside the USGA's tent? Over the last 18 months, Rolap has served as a strategic advisor to the USGA's media rights renegotiation. The USGA's current deal with NBC and Fox is set to expire, and the organization is facing a revenue shortfall. Ratings for the U.S. Open have fluctuated. The Saudis are throwing billions into LIV. The PGA Tour is consolidating with the DP World Tour. In this chaos, the USGA brought in Rolap to maximize their next television contract, but Mickelson's accusation cuts straight to the bone. He is alleging that Rolap used his advisory position to broker side deals that benefit his NFL stakeholders, specifically bundling USGA inventory with NFL Sunday ticket packages and funneling consulting fees through entities that are not disclosed in the USGA's public tax filings. If that data exists, the USGA's nonprofit status is no longer just a tax question. It is a legal liability. Phil Mickelson is not a saint. He is not a traditional whistleblower. He is the most unpredictable competitor the game has ever produced. At Oakmont, he put a hole through a 121-year-old locker room door. At the 2018 PGA Championship, he deliberately struck a moving putt on the green because he was frustrated. He was fined, criticized, and dismissed as a hothead. But that is the old narrative. The new narrative is far more dangerous for the establishment. Mickelson has spent the last 3 years operating outside the system. He sued the PGA Tour. He joined LEV. He took the money, accepted the ban, and then watched the tour scramble to create a for-profit entity. With the Saudis anyway, he was proven right about the greed at the top of professional golf. and that victory changed his posture. He is no longer just a player, he is an operator. He has lawyered up. He has hired forensic accountants. He has spent his own money digging into the financial structures that govern the sport. And now he is aiming that machinery directly at the USGA. Does he have a personal vendetta? Absolutely. The USGA has historically excluded him from rules committees and player advisory groups. They have publicly criticized his equipment choices. There is bad blood everywhere. But personal vendettas do not make the data false, and that is the uncomfortable reality the USGA is facing right now. They cannot dismiss the messenger because they dislike him. They have to disprove the message, and it is important to be precise here because the internet is already filled with speculation. Based on the language in the legal communication, Mickelson claims to possess 3 specific categories of financial data. Category 1, internal USGA memorandums showing that Rolap's media strategy recommendations explicitly favored NFL broadcast partners, specifically CBS and Fox, over legitimate golf first bidders like ESPN and Amazon. Do you believe these allegations deserve a full, independent investigation? Or do you think they're being blown out of proportion? Let us know in the comments below. And if you're enjoying these in-depth golf stories, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our next investigation. The accusation is not just favoritism. The accusation is that Rolap suppressed competing bids to keep the USGA's rights undervalued, allowing his NFL partners to acquire them at a discount. Category 2, a paper trail of personal performance bonuses paid to Rolap by the USGA that were never disclosed in the organization's 990 tax filings. If true, that is a direct violation of IRS disclosure requirements for nonprofit organizations. Category 3, and this is the explosive one, Mickelson claims Rolap structured a separate consulting agreement with a third-party media advisory firm that is directly owned by a close associate of his from the NFL offices. The purpose of that agreement, according to the threat, was to skim a percentage of the USGA's media rights advance as a finder's fee that Rolap never disclosed to the USGA's executive board. Mickelson is not just saying Rolap is incompetent. He is saying Rolap is compromised. He is saying the USGA's signature broadcast deal was engineered to enrich one insider while stripping value from the nonprofit that is supposed to protect the integrity of the game. The initial reaction was disbelief, then anger, then paralysis. The executive committee is divided. One faction believes they should sue Mickelson for defamation immediately, preemptively, to establish a legal shield. Another faction believes that suing him will only accelerate the release of the documents and guarantee a media circus. A third, smaller faction is asking the uncomfortable question: should they simply ask Rolap to step aside temporarily while an independent audit is conducted? That proposal was reportedly shot down within 90 minutes. The leadership is terrified of setting a precedent where a player can dictate personnel decisions through threats. But they are equally terrified of the data existing, so they are frozen. In the meantime, the USGA's communications department has gone into lockdown. They have not issued a single public statement. They have not confirmed or denied Rolap's involvement in the media rights negotiations. They are hoping this blows over, but the clock is ticking. Thursday at 5 p.m., that is the deadline. And the longer they remain silent, the more the narrative turns against them. Because in the court of public opinion, silence is not a denial. Silence is an admission that you are scrambling. What about the players, the active competitors on the PGA Tour and LIV circuits are watching this closely, and they are split. Several veteran players who remain anonymous have privately told reporters that they support Mickelson. They view the USGA as an out-of-touch bureaucracy that profits off player talent while providing minimal financial return. They see Rolap as a symbol of corporate infiltration. These players believe that exposing the financial rot is the only way to force the USGA to reform its governance structure. But the younger players, the ones who still dream of winning the U.S. Open, are terrified. They do not want the USGA destabilized. They do not want media rights chaos before a major championship. They worry that if the broadcast deal collapses, prize money for the U.S. Open could stagnate. They are not defending Rolap. They are defending the infrastructure, and that is the real battle here. It is not just Phil versus Brian. It is the older generation that fought the wars versus the younger generation that just wants to cash checks and compete. Rory McIlroy has been notably silent. Tiger Woods has not commented. The silence from the elite is deafening. Nobody wants to touch this because taking a side means alienating either the establishment or the agitator. And in this environment, neutrality is starting to look like complicity. Mickelson is not bluffing about the media outlets. ESPN, The Athletic, The Wall Street Journal, and The Financial Times have all confirmed they are monitoring the situation. If the documents drop, it will not be a slow leak. It will be a coordinated global release. The immediate consequence is a federal investigation into the USGA's tax-exempt status. The IRS does not look kindly on nonprofits that fail to disclose executive compensation or that facilitate third-party enrichment. The second consequence is contractual. The current media rights holders will have the legal standing to renegotiate their deals or void them entirely. If they can argue that the USGA negotiated in bad faith, that could cost the USGA hundreds of millions of dollars. The third consequence is existential. The USGA's credibility as the guardian of the rules would be permanently shattered. How can they penalize a player for a two-stroke rules violation when their own front office is operating in a gray area of financial ethics? That is the paradox. The USGA has spent a decade policing the minutiae of the golf swing, but they failed to police their own boardroom, and Mickelson knows it. He is not attacking a person, he is attacking structural hypocrisy, and that is why this threat is landing so heavily. So where does that leave us? Is Phil Mickelson a self-serving opportunist using financial intimidation to settle an old grudge? Or is he the only person in golf with the resources and the nerve to expose something genuinely broken? The answer is probably both, and that is why this story was never going to end quietly. The USGA has until Thursday. Rolap has a choice: resign with dignity or watch the data go public. Whatever happens next, one thing is certain: golf will never look at the USGA the same way again. Now, I want your verdict. Drop it in the comments below. Blackmail or whistleblowing? And while you are there, tell me where you are watching from. City, country, doesn't matter. Every comment gets read. If this is the kind of breakdown you want, whenever the golf world erupts, hit subscribe, because the next one is already in the works.